Welcome to another episode of Theology Bites. This time we're going to take a look at the topic of Hamartiology, which is really the study of sin, kind of looking at fallen man. Last time we looked at anthropology, doctrine of man, kind of before the fall, and now we're looking at doctrine of man after the fall. And here's what Cornelius Plantinga has said. The This is about perversion and kind of what happens once sin has entered into our humanity. He talks about the turning of loyalty, energy, and desire away from God and God's project in the world. It is the diversion of construction materials for the city of God to side projects of our own, often accompanied by jerry-built ideologies that seek to justify the diversion. Some really important parts here in what Plantinga says. You've got number one, this turning away from God and God's project in the world. I think this is helpful because it keeps in mind that we have a mission, a project in the world. Actually, God has a project in the world, a mission. One of the reasons He made us in His image to represent Him. I think we spoke of that in the last Theology Bites. And when sin enters, this perversion, this is what this is about, perversion. Um, there's this turning from the project of God in the world, from the mission to something else. And he talks about it. It's a diversion of construction materials that are meant for the city, right? To these side projects of our own. That's kind of the key. We talk about the heart turned inward after sin. Instead of doing God's project, we're doing our own project. I like how he puts often accompanied by jerry-built ideologies that seek to justify the diversion. Excuse me. This just sums up the fallenness of our humanity, doesn't it? We have God has a project in the world, a mission, a calling, the desire for His image and representation to fill the whole world, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. What do? We take the materials meant for that, made in the image of God, the gifts that we have, the creativity, the abilities, etc., and we turn them to our own side projects. And not only that, but we justify those side projects. It just reminds me of the garden. You've got Eve, who is tempted by Satan, the serpent. You can be God yourself. Like, why are you allowing him to remain God? He's keeping something good from you. Well, uh, that's what we buy into. We buy into these lies, and so we turn away from God and His project, which is the only one that is real and is true and matters and is lasting and can fulfill us. And we turn off to our own that can never fulfill us, um, and yet we think that that's what's going to be our satisfaction. This is the doctrine of sin. It's the doctrine of buying into the lies of the enemy. Hope that this helps you to think through some things. Until next time.